Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. I'm back with another demo human design reading. This time we're going to look at a projector chart. I really felt like I wanted to add one more so that we have a projector example here as well. Christina is a splenic projector. And yeah, so Christina, you asked me a specific question that I'm really excited to dive into. But as always, I'm going to start with a more general reading so that we can look at all the most important basics first. These are really always the most important things to start with. If we get those basics right, then everything else follows from there. But I will definitely have some more detailed input for you as well. Yeah, so the question that you asked was really about looking at ways to collaborate with others in your business. What kinds of collaborations would be ideal for you, how to look for those collaborations. And so I'll definitely have some pointers for you here. But let's start with the most important basics. For everyone who is new to human design, this will help to give you some context and give you an idea of what reading with me can look like. And also for you, Christina, I know you're already familiar with human design, so some of these things will be things that you already know. But again, it's always helpful to get these little reminders, even the very simple basics. If we can really return to focusing first on those things, then everything else really follows from there. And then a lot of these little details don't even matter so much anymore. And we can't really start there. So that's just one thing I want to repeat that I really kind of highlight every single time. We really want to start with our strategy and our authority. And so let's begin there. First of all, your type, you are a projector and specifically a splenic projector. So you have splenic authority. And your strategy as a projector is to wait for the invitation. And what this basically means is that you are here with very special gifts and very special skills that you're here to share with the world in this lifetime. Projectors are often guides, and they're really here to guide the energy for others or to help guide the energy. And projectors have a very unique way of seeing things, often seeing things that other people can't see in the same way or can't see in as much detail or with as much clarity. So you're really here to help bring that insight for others. But the important thing to start is that you need to be recognized for your gifts and you need to be invited, because when you start sharing your guidance with those who aren't ready, then you'll meet resistance and you'll just be putting in energy and basically wasting energy and you won't be received. So when you enter into experiences, whether that's a collaboration, a relationship, a business, anything like that, a creative project, when you enter into a new experience correctly, and then also follow your splenic authority, which I'll explain in a moment, then you'll experience your signature theme of success. If you're entering into experiences incorrectly, so you're either not waiting for the invitation, or you're saying yes to invitations that are not aligned for you, then you'll experience your not self theme of bitterness. And so that can feel like resentment or, yeah, just feeling like you're wasting your energy, you're not being seen. It's really important for projectors to be seen and recognized and to feel seen. You're also really good at seeing others, but it's important for you to be seen as well or to feel seen. In connection with the question that you asked, this is a really important place to start. So any collaboration that you want to start is basically going to start through an invitation. It's not necessarily going to be you looking for the right person to collaborate with. You are not really here to initiate like most people. So you need to wait for someone to come and recognize you and invite you in. There are some other aspects of your chart that even amplify this energy even more. I'll go into that a little bit later. So the next thing I'll go into, as a projector, you are a non-energy type, which means you have an undefined sacral. You are not consistently creating your own life force energy. And so you're not really here to do the hard work for others. That's always an important thing to remember. And I think you know this very well. You've been living in alignment with this for a long time already. You've been more on the path of running your own business and receiving the support you need as well in some capacity. So these are all important things. And so if you're collaborating with others in this way, I know, for example, your husband supports you with certain things in your business. So that's actually a really aligned way for you to collaborate. I know your husband is a generator, so that's really helpful. He can help provide that life force energy that you don't have consistently. And so, really, with anything, if you're looking for someone to collaborate with, it's typically going to be more like someone who supports you with the things that are not in your zone of genius, that you don't have energy for. And so it's really supporting you in doing your best work, working in your zone of genius so you can fully put your energy into that and not waste energy doing things that are really not your thing and just not your kind of work. So that's one way to look at it. And then other types of collaborations I'll go into a little bit later. But let's continue with your splenic authority. So this is really your decision-making process. And so whenever you receive an invitation, it's important to check in with your splenic authority to make sure that this is actually the correct invitation for you, which means that it's actually aligned for you to say yes to it. Just because you're being invited, it doesn't mean that you have to say yes to that invitation. So you always want to check in with your splenic authority. And so basically, you have splenic authority because you are a projector, you have an undefined sacral, you also have an undefined emotional center, and then the next center in the hierarchy of authorities really is the spleen. So you have splenic authority, and the spleen is really the primal awareness center. This is where your instincts are. It's really connected to intuition as well, our primal fears, and so on. And these are all the senses and the instincts that animals have as well, for example. So I don't have splenic authority myself, so it's hard for me to, speak from experience what it feels like. But a lot of people say that splenic authority will express as bodily sensations and they happen in the moment. So it's very quick, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. So it's really important to be really connected to what you're feeling in your body. Sometimes it could feel like chills or other bodily sensations like shivers or so you'll have to really find out what that feels like for you. Maybe you already know, and if you're not totally sure what those splenic sensations feel like for you, I would definitely invite you to go explore that a little bit more for yourself to really be grounded in your body as well so that you can really be aware of those physical sensations in the moment. And so this is not something that comes through your mind, but really through your body. And this is important for everyone, but especially for the splenic authority because it happens so quickly and it happens in the moment. You have to be really, really tuned in and really aware and really present. As for example, if you had a sacral authority, which only generators can have, or manifesting generators, you can really have access to that at all times. So this is more about feeling what feels good to you. So for a generator, a manifesting generator, and you can just ask those yes or no questions. So does this feel good to me? Yes or no? And you won't lose that so quickly. You'll always have access to that. Or the emotional authority, which really helps you find clarity over time, and you need to feel into things over time. With the splenic authority, it's going to be different. It happens in the moment. And so you got to pay attention when you receive an invitation. So, what am I feeling right now? Did I actually feel something? If you're not feeling anything, then this may also be a sign for you that it's just not aligned for you. So the next thing I'll go into is your open slash undefined centers and your defined centers, and then also look at some of your channels here. You only have two of them. So you're pretty open. You have 6 open and undefined centers in total. You only have 3 defined centers, which in general makes you energetically quite sensitive. This is something to be aware of for anyone who has a lot of openness in their chart. You're always going to be more prone to taking in more energy from the outside, from the people around you. So whenever it comes to finding clarity about something, this is something to be really aware of, where you might be taking in and amplifying the energy from the people around you, and it might feel like yours, but it isn't. So, for example, if you have someone around you who has a defined solar plexus, who is an emotional being, you might be picking up on those emotions and feeling them like yours and amplifying them like yours, but they're actually not. And so you don't want to basically go into that trap of using that as your guidance system, for example. Same thing with your openness up here. So you have a completely open head and a completely open ajna. Here you'll have inspiration coming in, or you might pick up on the thoughts and questions of other people. Up here, the not self theme of the open head is basically trying to answer everybody else's questions, feeling too responsible for other people's problems, sometimes wanting to find solutions for other people's problems when it's really not your job. This will be especially important to pay attention to also in connection with your 5-1 profile, which I'll go into in a moment. Then the open ajna. The not self theme here really is pretending to be certain when you're not, or trying too hard to be certain when you're not. And you might be trying to compensate for the openness here by trying even harder to figure things out mentally. But this is just a reminder that that never really works. So the answers are not in your mind. We can't figure things out, but everything really comes through the body and through the physical, again, through our strategy and authority, first and foremost. Here we have the open will center slash ego slash heart center. The not self theme here is, well, you can be overcommitting or really doing things to prove your worth. So often this can be just putting in a lot of effort or energy, wasting energy that way. Overworking, those can be some themes quite common for a lot of people. Then the undefined sacral. So again, you don't really have access to your own consistent source of life force energy. And what that means, again, is you're not here to do the hard work for other people. And also, you'll tend to get more tired than any of the energy types. So, generators and manifesting generators. When you start feeling tired, it's important for you to get the rest you need, while generator types can keep going, basically, if they're enjoying what they're doing, and keep going until they're exhausted, and then they've spent the energy, they need to rest as well. But for any non-energy type, so projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, it's always important to remember that you do need more rest. Then you have an undefined root here as well, which is really your sense of timing. It's also connected to the adrenals. And the biggest challenge of the undefined root is feeling pressure. So, feeling time pressure, often it will manifest as that pressure to do, but it's really pressure that comes from the outside, from other people around you, especially people who have a defined root. So if you're in the aura of someone who has a defined root, you might feel like there is a hurry to get things done, to get things off your to-do list. And yeah, so it's just important to be mindful of that and be aware of that and know it's not actually coming from you. And then you can set better boundaries around your time as well and your own rhythm. I think everyone I've read for so far here in these demo readings has had an open or undefined root. I have one as well, so I know very well what that can feel like. So the three defined centers that you have the spleen, you have the throat, and the G center. The throat is your self-expression, your communication. You have a consistent way of communicating. What you don't have is a motor going to your throat, so you don't necessarily have consistent energy going to your throat to constantly be speaking, but other than that, you do have a consistent way of expressing yourself. And then the G here, this is your seat of identity, so this is your sense of who you are, also connected to your unique self-expression in the world. We'll go into that a little bit more in a moment when I look at the channels. And so you do have a consistent sense of direction in a way, so you have that built in. This is where you get your sense of direction for what's correct for you to pursue in your life. And if you're feeling confused about where to head in your life, it's likely not coming from here, but it's coming from elsewhere in the mind. And then finally, you have the defined spleen, which I already explained in connection with your splenic authority. And now you have two channels. So you have the 1-8 here. This connects your G center to your throat center. And this channel really is about creative self-expression, expressing yourself in the world in a unique way, but often it does take on a creative expression. And it's not just about you, though, it's also about the impact that you're making by sharing your creative expression, your unique self-expression, your unique way of seeing things in the world as well. So this is always going to be important for you. This is a projected channel too, by the way. It's important for you as a projector anyway, but this really needs to be invited or recognized and invited as well. So you want to be sharing that with the right people who are ready to receive it. Then this channel that you have here, so we have the spleen here, the 48, and then we have the 16 in your throat. The 48 is really the gate of depth. It's a really fascinating one to look into, and the gene keys as well. I have this one as well in my activation sequence. You actually have it in your conscious sun, so this is going to be an important one for you. And this is, well, some people say this is the most feminine of all the gates, or in the gene keys, the most feminine of all the gene keys. This is really about trusting. It's about resourcefulness as well. So trusting the journey and more the feminine unfolding, the feminine energy, the feminine guidance in your life that comes through your body. And then the 16 here is really about skills, having unique skills that you're here to refine and share with the world. And also with the depth in this gate here, this is really about deeply developing your skills and really having that depth that you're sharing through your skills as well. So that's going to be important. And there will likely be a form of expressing this verbally through speaking or writing or whatever works for you. But because this is connected to the throat, this will definitely be important. The next thing I want to look at is your 5-1 profile. So you have the 5 on the conscious side, your personality side, and then you have the 1 on the unconscious side, your body side. The 5 is the heretic, and the 1 is the investigator. And yeah, so the 5 is really an outside the box thinker, is here to find new solutions. So really breaking the traditional approaches and finding new ways to solve practical problems. The five is very practical in a lot of ways. One thing to be aware of here too is that it attracts projections. So it has a projection field, and people will be projecting onto you. Often this will show up as people projecting the savior onto you. It's just important to be aware of that. And sometimes it might be tempting to be that for other people, even when it's not aligned for you. So, really having your boundaries around that is always going to be important. And knowing that people can either put you on a pedestal, or if you disappoint them, they might also kind of project the opposite onto you and be disappointed in you. But know when that happens, it's not really personal and you're not really responsible for others in that way, but it's just something that's naturally going to happen. Then you have the one here on the other side, which is the investigator. This is someone who likes to research, have a solid foundation of knowledge, and is naturally curious about things, loves to learn new things and really go into things deeply, have a deep understanding of things. And in that way, it complements the five really well. So the 5-1 profile is really one that does enjoy providing practical solutions for others and who's really good at that as well. So now I just want to briefly return to the specific question that you asked me about finding aligned collaborations, finding aligned ways to collaborate with others in your business, and how to find those collaborations. A few things I already mentioned. So again, really important to always start with your strategy and your authority. Typically, collaborations will come in through invitation for you. And if you're not receiving those invitations, then you don't really need to worry about it. And you mentioned that you did try out some collaborations in the past and that they didn't work so well for you. So I would be curious to know how you entered into those collaborations. Did you receive the invitation from the other person or did you initiate? And then also, were you paying attention to your splenic response and what did that feel like for you? Did you get a specific response? Did you not really feel anything? Or, yeah, maybe feel free to share that with me in a little bit more detail, and maybe I can give you a little bit more input there. But other than that, it's just something for you to examine for yourself, to reflect on, and maybe see what you can learn from how you entered into those experiences and maybe why those collaborations ended up not being aligned for you. But basically, if we're entering into any collaboration in this way, so waiting for the invitation and then saying yes or no based on what your splenic authority is telling you about the quality of this invitation, whether or not it's aligned for you, then that should really lead you to the right collaborations. And if you're not getting those invitations, then you don't need to worry about it. So you really don't want to go out there and look for things more based on the mental idea that you should be, then you're almost certainly going to be guided in the wrong direction. And so you really don't want to initiate things mentally if it's not falling into place for you. Maybe with the exception of what I mentioned earlier. So if you feel like you need support in your business and it's really clear in that way for you energetically, and you come across the right person, that can be like an invitation for you as well. You know, you might come across a service provider who has exactly what you need. And then, in a lot of ways, that is an invitation as well. If they have an offer for you, then you can reach out to them and start that conversation. But the invitation is basically already there. And then again, just trusting your intuition in regards to whether or not this is aligned for you. One more thing I want to point out here is your ideal environment. So we actually have the same one, external markets. And markets are really places where business happens. So this could be a literal market, it could be like a farmer's market or a psychic fair or a grocery store or any place really where business happens. It could even be something like a Facebook group or yeah, like a virtual platform somewhere that someone has created, but important because it's external. You're not the one creating the market. You're the one going to establish markets that other people have created. And the way you show up there is really not so much about going and doing a lot there, but you just go there and you're just there. And yeah, so you have the right facing arrow here, which is really the observer. These are the people who go and observe the people who are there doing things, actively doing things. So you'll be more likely to attract the right opportunities if you just go to your ideal environment and then you're just there and you let people come to you. So in some ways, the less active you are, take it with a grain of salt because sometimes you will be called to maybe speak or share your gifts. So you do want to do that when you're called and it's the right invitation for you. But in this context with your ideal environment, the way this really works is, yeah, being more passive and allowing the right people to come to you, allowing the right opportunities to come to you. And then again, you don't want to go about this from more of a mental perspective, just, being too focused on figuring out what the right external market is for you. Again, you'll receive the invitations. You'll receive the opportunities more naturally through your body, through your strategy and your authority to go to those specific markets that are ideal for you. And then when you say yes, based on what feels aligned to you, based on your splenic authority, then you'll end up in the right marketplaces. But overall, this is a supportive environment for you. This can really help to support your energy. And again, this can be a place where you will meet the right people. So if you're feeling like collaborations might be a good fit for you or might be supportive for you, this could be a pointer for you that those might come through those types of environments or in those types of environments. And really important, again, because you're an external markets person, not an internal markets person. You're not the one inviting people into your space as much as you're going out there and meeting people where they are and just naturally drawing them in. Just maybe one more thing, when I'm looking at your variables here, your arrows, you have two left-facing arrows at the top and two right-facing arrows at the bottom. I have the same constellation. So up here, you do have more of that strategic energy or able to think strategically. And you have an active brain, but then down here, this is really the trajectory of your life. It's completely receptive, passive. So more of the feminine energy, and you can't really plan ahead with this energy, even though you're able to do this mentally, and this might be helpful for other people, but it's not going to be easy for you to do that. Like if you make a plan for something, okay, so this is my strategy and I'm going to implement it that way, it's typically not going to work for you. Down here, this is going to be a lot more receptive, or you're just going to have to wait for the right timing. So you might get a sense of a certain strategy that might work for you, but you can't really plan it that way. So there might be an opportunity that arises spontaneously in the right environment, in the right moment, and at the right time, and then you get to implement. But other than that, you can't really plan ahead in that way. It's a lot of your life is just going to unfold more through surrender, through being receptive, and more through following what naturally unfolds for you. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot more I could share with you, but I think these are the most important things. And I hope that this was helpful, that you got some helpful and inspiring pointers here, and that this helps to answer your question. And if anything is unclear, please let me know. You can leave a comment or message me privately. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your feedback. And for anyone who's interested in receiving a personal reading, I'll leave the link for you down below in the description where you can connect with me for a private session. And yeah, thank you again, Christina, for the opportunity to read for you. This was another fascinating chart to dive into, and I'll be back with more soon.